kind of an interesting story on how this week played out. We reached out to Ms. Justine Giles. We were in a little bit of a pinch, and she hooked us up and granted us with her presence this week.
She had to make a pumpkin spice latte, so we had to wait a whole 20 minutes for her. But,
jeez. No, it was awesome. She definitely has some stuff in the pipe coming up.
Yeah.
So we get into that. She's been recording, getting some music produced and stuff. So we talk about that and how she got there. So,
and somewhere in this video, there's a sneak peek of her new song. All you need to do is find it.
This is Justine Giles, episode 83 of the Sit Down Podcast. Bam.
Cheers to that.
Cheers. I know that you've been recording, you won some contests and stuff. So my plan kind of going in is I just kind of want you to talk about that. What's new and exciting in your world?
We want details.
Yeah, we want details on an update on what the heck's going on with you.
All the dates.
Yeah, 100%. So if
I feel like we're missing something though. I don't know what, but
Mark and I, we were just on the verge of starting to argue before you jumped in here. So it was good timing on your part. So I got a question for you. Do you think our background's pretty cluttered here right now?
Well, honestly, I've never seen it before because I think when I talked to you guys last, you were sitting at a desk, like a computer desk. So I've never seen the chair get up. So
that's right, because I was on bed rest when you were on the show.
Yeah,
I just had my surgery.
Right.
So Mark was sitting up there. That's right.
Yeah. That was still this background, but
but you were in the way.
But less cluttered.
Yeah. So
So like I'm not really a good judge because I'm not sure what it's supposed to look like, but I think it looks cool. I dig the chairs.
Yeah, the chairs are relatively new.
But you're saying we shouldn't add more, right?
So I'm not saying to add more. That's not what I said. What I said is this shirt and this one. So like the past few weeks, we've been swapping them out, right? So like past guests or any kind of merch we have, I'm hanging it up. And that's all I'm saying is that I don't want the same shirts 2 weeks in a row. And then, if artists see it and want to send us some merch to hang up in the back, I'm all for it. Right. And then he's like, well, we got too much stuff. And I'm like, I'm not saying to add anything. I'm just saying to swap out what's existing.
And I didn't say that you were adding stuff.
Well, you said there's too much stuff.
Yeah, because we keep adding little things everywhere. And then it starts getting in the background.
But there, you just said it. So you are saying that we're adding stuff.
Yeah, but I wasn't talking about the shirts.
Oh, well, I'm not talking about you. That's you who's adding all this other stuff.
No.
I didn't do. What did I add there? Nothing.
Dust Crushington Moose over there.
Yeah, that can go.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You're talking about the shelves, right, Mark?
And the shirts.
Like you don't. Okay. Everything.
Yeah, pretty much everything. Just we need a new facelift, I think.
Well, and you also have a table in the middle with stuff on it, so.
Yeah, well, I put this was up here, but I put it here because, like, why do we have just a brown box there?
Well, normally this would be covered by a record.
Yeah, and somebody moved the record.
So we can put,
You guys sound like an old married couple.
I love it.
Yeah, he does.
I love it. So, okay, here we go. Does it look better here or here?
1 or 2?
I would say on the table looks better.
Right. Yeah.
Just to be honest, it doesn't even look like a box from my end. When you put the plant there, it just looks like it's part of the mall.
Okay.
Oh.
Interesting.
This episode is brought to you by Inspired Vapor Company.
So these guys are out of Humboldt, Saskatchewan.
They have 3 locations though, right? They have one in Humboldt, one in Melfort, and one in PA, Prince Albert.
Okay.
But of course they have a website where you can where you can order all your vaping needs.
Yeah, these guys are solid guys. We actually got to meet them at Chesterfest.
Yep.
Which is how we got affiliated with them. And I mean, they're there to help guide you in the right direction for like any of your vape needs. I used to vape, and that's actually how I quit smoking. Was I started with 18 milligrams and tapered down. These guys are there to help you if that's like your goal there. But I mean, there's all kinds of flavors, and if you just want to continue vaping, I guess like flavors aren't that bad. There's kind of a bad rep with vaping.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not all true.
It's way less harmful than smoking.
Oh, for sure.
So that's
why there's a bad rep there, is because they're like, you're putting all that crap in your lungs. Yeah, but you're putting like a million less things in your lungs.
Yeah, and if it helps you quit the really bad thing, then this is...
Yeah. So these guys are there to help guide you with like whatever direction you want to go. If you want to quit smoking or taper down or do less, basically they're there to help get you away from cigarettes, because cigarettes are terrible.
Yeah, and they're a father-son team, and they have an optimistic vision. Let's call it that, and they want to help you switch to vaping.
Yeah, you can go to inspiredvaporcompany.com to shop with them online. You get free shipping over $75 purchase.
Yep.
And use the promo code MOOSE10. That's MOOSE10. Go to inspiredvaporcompany.com and use the checkout code MOOSE10. That's MOOSE10. Welcome.
Cheers.
And thank you for coming back. It's nice to see you again. It's been a little while.
Yeah, you as well. Thanks for having me. I know we've all kept in touch, but it's been a while for sure. And the world is still crazy. So
right.
I'm trying to think of the last time we talked, actually. Sometime
feel
during
like-
the pandemic.
Yeah, I think it was, I want to say December. Was it late December or early January, maybe?
Well, when did you go to the hospital?
I had that surgery November 30th.
Right, so it must have been December.
So it would have been like mid-December, maybe, I think, when we had you on. In
Gotcha.
that,
Well,
somewhere around there.
That's almost
it's
a year.
crazy.
9 months.
Yeah. It's
There could have
crazy
been-
because
there could have been a baby in between there. 9 months. Right.
true. Very true. I was gonna say the only babies going on around here are music babies, but that's just me. No, I was gonna say, like, it's crazy because so much has changed since then, but at the same time, a lot hasn't changed in terms of just the state of the world and stuff like that. So I've tried to use my time very wisely. The last 9 months have been pretty intense. So I guess we're gonna dive into some of that today and talk about some exciting stuff.
Yes.
Definitely. So, like you said, we have been kind of in touch still, but you were like not that long ago, a few weeks ago, did you won a contest for recording time? Am I right?
Yeah, so there were 2 contests in August that came to a head. I mean, a lot of these contests take weeks and months to prepare and submit, and just like grant writing, So I did a lot of songwriting this year, and I applied for some grants, and I applied to 2 contests that I really wanted to, win, or at least get somewhere in the top of these contests. So the contest you're referring to, I believe, is the ATCO Energy Contest.
Okay.
And
yep, that sounds right.
yeah, so I won the grand prize for that, which is amazing, and that includes $500 cash to put towards music stuff, and 2 days of recording time at OCL Studios, which is pretty much the best studio in Calgary. And I wasn't sure what that entailed, mind you, because studio time can just literally mean the use of a studio, or sometimes a sound engineer. So I went in and had a meeting with them and convinced them to hire my producer for me, essentially. So he's going to be hired, which is great. So I'm super excited about that. And another contest this summer was called the Music Mile Contest. So basically in Calgary, there's one area of town. It's like one really popular strip. And there's a bunch of music venues, and they call it the Music Mile. And essentially they wanted people to write a song to try to capture the spirit of that part of town. And so I wrote a song for that and came in second place. So I got some gift cards for that and some recognition. And yeah, it was a really busy summer.
Oh, hell
Cool.
yeah. Congratulations on
Yeah.
both of those.
Thank you.
That's awesome. So how did you get, like, let's talk about that song you wrote for the mile.
Yeah.
Like, what, can you give me a walkthrough of that process? Like,
Yeah,
were you
walk the
familiar?
mile.
Yeah, walk a mile.
Well, I literally did go to walk the mile, because what's really funny about it is when I first moved to Calgary, I mean, I moved across the country from Ontario, right? So I had a handful of musician friends, and some of my favorite places are on the mile. Like the King Eddie is a really famous restaurant bar. A lot of great touring artists come through. And I've had so many nights there, slightly before the pandemic, but even during, with restrictions, where I've looked around that room and I've known so many people. And I just thought it was so profound that I could move across the country and basically be in a room full of people that I know. Artists, managers, producers, it just kind of blew my mind. So I already had a tie to the Music Mile and what that spirit was. Like, to me,
Right.
feeling a sense of community across the country was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
So when they put that call out for artists to write about that area of town, it just naturally seemed like a good idea to me, because to me, like, I had a sense of what that area meant to people. And there is that sense of unity and community. And I've met a lot of people here in Calgary that are from many other places in Canada. So my intention was just to write about that. And I wrote a song called Alberta Sky. And it was kind of about, well, ironically, because there is a lot of stuff in politics here that divides us, but I wrote a song really about the unity that does happen here, and all the people that I've met from different places, and how the music community here is really tight knit. So that was the process of that song. And I've played it at quite a few live shows now, and it's gone over very well. So I'm hoping that at some point I could do something with it for sure.
Right.
Yeah, cool.
And then, so also you've been in the studio, right?
Yeah.
Is it like a major project, or is it just like one song you're working on, or like, I want details?
And is that the studio that you won that studio time for?
Great question. Well, both great questions. So first of all, my plan was to at least get back in the studio to get a new single going. And my hope was that if I could solely invest in that, apply to grants, apply to these local contests, because I invested in the recording before all that happened. My hope was that I could get more funding to keep the singles going and then put out an EP. So that is the plan, and that's what's going ahead now. Essentially, I had two of my top songs that I wrote this year with our friend Matt Blaze. And he's been a great co-writer. And so basically I wanted to record both, but recording is very expensive. So I was hemming and hawing about which one to bring to the studio first. And now, because of the ATCO contest that I won, I get to record the other one that I didn't choose.
Oh,
so yeah, so I'm just like over the moon, because I feel really strongly about both of them. And they're quite different. Like, there's a lot of contrast between the meanings of these songs. And I'm really, really grateful that I get to record both. So it's not at the studio that I won through ATCO. However, my producer is very much well acquainted and is friends with everyone that works through that studio, and they're all pretty much in the same circle. So that worked to my benefit, because when I asked them to hire him, it was kind of a no-brainer for them, because they hire each other
Right.
for like session players or what have you. So yeah, it's been wild.
So is it like you get to go there for, is it like so many hours a day, or what's the process when
Yeah.
recording there? Excuse me.
Pretty much, yeah. So essentially, when people get studio time, if they win it, or even if they pay for it, and if they aren't working with a producer, like, some people will just rent out a studio, and it is kind of by the hour or by the day. So I have 2 full days. And essentially, I'm going to my producer's studio tomorrow to start on some pre-production, because basically we want to use that time really wisely out at like the big studio. So tomorrow, since the demo is already ready and good to go, we're going to just kind of do pre-production stuff and figure out if we're going to change anything melodically, and figure out the tempo and what we want to do for instrumentation, who we want to hire for session players, like all that kind of stuff, and just get like a blueprint and a rough draft ready so that when we head out to the bigger studio, we're good to go, and we know who we have to hire and get them in on those days, because it's like 2 days, so everyone has to be
on
ready
their
to
game,
go,
right?
ready to go. Yeah.
I like
Yeah,
it.
that's freaking cool, man.
Yeah.
Do you generally use the same people? Like, I know you've got a pretty good Rolodex of artists out there that you could use, but do you find when you're doing something like this, you're going to lean towards something more familiar? Or is it like, I haven't had a chance to work with this person, and this would be a great opportunity to do that?
Yeah, for sure. I'd say more so the latter. Like, I'm still fairly new here, and I do know a lot of artists and what have you. So I'm pretty open. It really depends on the song. Like, every song that you do is so unique. And for me anyways, like, it could be a totally different tempo. Sometimes it bleeds into a different genre. Like, I'm not really in one box. So I think that works to my benefit, because in terms of session players, it really varies per song. Like, some songs really need more of like a pre-programmed sound, if you will, and other songs may call for like live drums. So it really depends on the song, but that's why doing pre-production helps too. It kind of gives you a sense of the direction that we want the song to go in. So
Right.
Yeah, I'm totally open to working with new people, but like I said, I mean, it is a pretty small community here, so everyone associated with these higher end studios and reputable studios, like, they kind of come with built-in people that are producers or sound engineers that are also bass players, drummers, that kind of thing. So
Right.
Yeah.
so they would recommend people to me as well that they know would do a really good job. So
Awesome. Have you
Yeah.
had a chance to do anything live since the last time we talked?
yeah, surprisingly, but I don't know how long that's gonna last.
Right. Oh,
um
you actually,
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't it just a few weeks ago you did an acoustic gig? I saw on your Instagram. Damn it, and I don't remember where it was.
Yeah, I saw that too.
But yeah, you did do something. See, I asked you a question and I freaking knew the answer to it already, but I couldn't remember.
But you don't really know the answer.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
tell me about that. Was that the one and only, or has there been a couple?
There's been a couple. I started off earlier this year doing live stream gigs. So I had an opportunity, I think you might have seen some of those, to go to a venue when restrictions were really, really high. And basically they set up cameras and did a live stream on Facebook. So that was pretty cool when things were in
Yeah.
things were dire at that time, I guess. But yeah, things opened up here pretty much all the way in the summer. So I did like a TEDx thing, which was cool. Like, they have those TED Talks, and they had me in to do some singing. So that was awesome.
I
Yeah.
thought
So
TEDx
that
was just for talking and
Yeah, sometimes I have live performers in between. So that was really cool. I always love doing those. I did one like probably 10 years ago. So it was neat to do that, because I think that was my first show in front of an audience in a couple years.
Mhm.
And it was a really attentive audience, obviously, because people are there to listen to speakers, right? So it was a really cool venue. It was almost like a little theater, and there's probably like 50 people or so, and it was live streamed as well. But it was really cool to be in a really good sounding venue,
Right.
and yeah, to have like a really attentive audience. So that was really cool.
So what's wait, how many songs did you get to play in front of those attentive people?
I think it was about like maybe 5 or 6 songs, like a short set.
Right. So then going into that, knowing how much attention you were going to have of that audience, did that help you decide which songs you were going to play? Like, what I mean is, like, did you have like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's
I
50
do.
people and I know I got their attention, so I'm going to play these songs, like, because they're my hard hitters or whatever. You know what
and I
like
better
that.
make sure I don't mess up.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, this is the message that I need to get
Because
across.
these people are paying attention.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because I actually changed my set at the last minute because of that reason. At first I wanted to go in there, and my my initial thought process was like, okay, keep it lighthearted because, you know, things have been really heavy in the world and I should probably do some like lighthearted songs. But then I was listening to all these people give talks and like some pretty heavy, hard hitting talks that were vulnerable. And I was like, you know what? This is what TED Talks are all about. It's all about being honest and having just open conversations and showing up and being vulnerable and just telling the truth. And I was like, you know what? I got to bring out one of my new songs that's not even out yet that I've been recording in the studio that's super vulnerable and has a story attached to it. And so at the last minute, I was like, this is probably the best place to play that song because it wouldn't go over in front of a lot of different audiences because it's just like, I don't know. It's a really intense, emotional, vulnerable song. And I think it's one of those songs that helps to know the backstory of. So yeah, I whipped it out and I'm so glad I did because after the show, I had so many great chats with people that came up to me and were really kind of touched by the story behind the song. And I mean, it was scary, but I'm really glad I did it. Yeah.
Right.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Like, how was that emotionally for you to on the fly switch it and then make that decision, knowing that, well, not knowing, but maybe you hadn't rehearsed it, right? So it's like going into it cold, essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Well, and I'm someone who likes to plan in advance a lot. I don't like doing stuff on the fly, so you know,
really?
I literally
you don't come off as something.
I mean, I joined you today on the fly, but
you did.
That's the kind of thing that gives me major anxiety. So I remember running out and I had like a 10-minute break or something. And I was like grabbing my guitar and I'm trying to remember, like, do I know all the chords and like, do I remember all the lyrics? Cause it's a brand new song. Right.
Right.
So, but I ran through it a couple times and I'm like, yeah, I got to do it. I'm just going to do it. So I did. And it worked out in my favor and I made some really good connections that day. So, and that's what it's all about. Right. Like I've missed that in terms of live shows. Like the human connection, like there's nothing that beats it, you know, like live music and talking to people about it.
For sure. That
unreal.
actually, I managed to experience something like that this last weekend here at Chesterfest when it was like right before I left the last day. And I was talking with Saul, the singer.
Oh, okay. Yep.
And it was like, we had such a like awesome one-on-one conversation, but I was also a little distracted because the conversation was so spot on and genuine and to the point and everything that I wished that it was like on the episode because like he's coming in a few weeks, he's going to be on the whole time. I'm just like, how can I bring this energy and this conversation back in a few weeks was like kind of what was going on in my head.
And I kind of did the same thing separately from you because I had a talk with him too after or before. I don't know when you talked to him, but it was like, oh, this is good for the episode.
Yeah, this is such awesome content that could be recorded.
Talk about this,
but
right
it was
now.
Just truthful. You know what? It was
For
just
sure.
like honesty and truth, and it was like that's what's a big part of that has been lacking for like the past year and a half, like that one-on-one actual face conversation with people
and
about things that you can relate to and that you both love, right?
Yeah. So we've been doing this podcast for a good year just on Zoom. And now that things are kind of opening up and live shows are happening, we get to meet a lot of the band members that we had on Zoom in person. And it's
so cool.
Yeah. I don't know where I was going with that, but it is cool.
Yeah. To get them to see them in person and have just a real conversation. Like it's that whole in the back of my head. I'm like, oh, this would be fucking awesome if the camera was rolling.
Yeah.
Right now. Like, this is what we're trying to do. But yeah, no, it's awesome. I can't wait to actually, we haven't met in person yet.
Not yet.
And
no, we haven't.
I am looking forward to that day. Hopefully sooner than later. I keep telling you should come move in with us. Like Janelle and I would totally adopt Justine. Like, you're welcome to just move in if you ever want to.
Careful. She might actually do it.
Packing my bags right now.
Yeah. Right after this.
Correct. But yeah, no, it was I forget where the hell we were going with that one-on-one conversation.
The actual connection that you have with people.
Yeah, with a live audience and get to know people. And I'm sure what he was going through when I was talking to him is the same thing that you're going through when you were talking to those people, like after the show, right? Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've had a few of those experiences lately. Actually, for the Music Mile contest, we ended up doing a live show for the finale. So the top three, like we were all chosen virtually, and we recorded demos and sent them in, and the judges went through them from their homes. But then we decided we were going to do the top three live finale. So that was a really cool show too, because again, I got to meet people that I would have never met otherwise, other artists and the judges and what have you. But also, I mean, I don't even remember the last time I would have had a show like that where I invited so many people, like neighbors and friends and coworkers and fellow artists, and basically everyone I invited was there. It was unreal.
Right.
Like it was such a cool show, because I don't know, we haven't had many opportunities to do events like that, right? So super special.
People are just itching to get out too.
Right.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Hell yeah. So now that, like, what's the news that happened last night? Alberta's on lockdown again right now?
Pretty much, as of like, some restrictions came into place at midnight last night, and more restrictions are happening on Monday. So, which I kind of saw coming, to be honest with you. And I don't necessarily think that's going to be the end of it. I think things are going to be even more restricted by the looks of it, but we'll see. So we're going to be following suit. I think there's other provinces that have like a vaccine passport where you have to have proof if you go to restaurants or bars or that kind of thing. So that's coming into effect here on Monday. I guess our vaccination rates are fairly low, and our ICUs are full. And I think they want to send people out of province because we're that full, which is not good. So I believe they're going to close indoor dining again at restaurants and bars, and they close early. I think everything has to be closed up by 10, or liquor service is done by 10. They're limiting music venues. I think you can only have a third of what you could usually have.
Really?
And I think they're cracking down on the weddings and funerals again too. And social distancing obviously is still a thing, and masks and the whole bit. So what happened, I think, was they were hoping that more people would get vaccinated, and they opened up everything for Stampede in July and basically dropped everything and said no masks. And I mean, people went crazy, right? Because everyone was just itching to get out and do stuff. So it's not looking great. And people have gotten used to having live shows, right? Like, I know a lot of people that gig full time, and it was really rough for them throughout the year because there were literally no gigs.
Yeah.
And over the summer, I mean, people that gig full time could gig full time again. And I don't know if that's going to continue on into the fall and winter, to be honest with you. So we'll see what happens.
I was in the city today, and I noticed one of the stores that I had to go to had already adjusted hours. Because I think we're going to get a lockdown too here.
We'll probably end up in the same boat as Alberta here, like, like pretty soon.
Our prime minister follows whatever their prime minister is doing, so probably. But we also had the conversation because my wife was with me, and we were talking about July 11th, when all the restrictions came off. Everybody was like, "Oh, we're going back to normal," and not even social distancing, masks were thrown out, and you know, it's like they're in God mode or whatever. But it seemed like that was a recipe for disaster, because now we're having 500 plus cases a day again.
Yeah. So, well, and I think Saskatchewan's numbers on vaccines were pretty low too. Am I wrong on that? Like, isn't there more than 50% of Saskatchewan is not vaccinated?
No, we're at 70 some percent.
That is vaccinated?
Yeah.
Okay.
But you still have the people that are not vaccinated and the kids. So there's always that percentage that can still carry and transmit.
Yeah. So, I think it was very similar here, where people did stop distancing and they totally threw caution to the wind. I think to an extreme though. And really the Delta variant, I think, is what's really throwing things off too, because the variant seems to be very contagious, like more so than the original strain.
Yeah.
Right.
So
There's more
yeah.
than just, there's quite a few different variants though, is there not?
Yeah, there are. I think there's more that are increasing, but from what I understood, that one was pretty contagious. But yeah, there are definitely many variants going on.
Oh, it's
So
crazy. Crazy. This has been going on for over a year. We're coming up on 2 years of this shit.
I know. Well, and
Wow.
I was watching the numbers. Like, I try not to get too lost in it because, I mean, mental health and sanity, you know.
Yeah.
I try not to. I don't want to be watching the news 24/7, but I did want to keep an eye on it just to know where things were locally. And over the past month, I saw it going up to, you know, 1,000 cases a day, 1,300 cases a day. I think we're about 15 a day now, and it's just
Right.
not going down. So I
Yeah.
think they're just trying to get it under control.
Yeah. I'm kind of I get that because I don't follow it that closely neither. I try and
No, I stopped doing that too.
yeah, it's
I
like
just every once in a while when I'm on Reddit, I'm in the Saskatchewan subreddit, and then the numbers just come by, and oh, I got an update today. Another 530 some.
yeah. See, and I don't even I have no clue on what the frick is going on. Like,
I'm not
I'm
going
out of
out
it.
to see the news anymore. It's like whatever. It is what it is. And now that I don't have to travel into my office anymore,
Yeah.
I can
Yeah, so
stay home.
Mark's working from home nowadays.
Yep.
Cool. How do you like it, Mark?
Well, this was the first week, and it's been quite a shit show.
He's going crazy, adding shit to the fucking studio here and cluttering it.
Well, that describes it. That's why.
Yeah, exactly. Every time I have a Zoom call with a client, then that comes up.
Okay, now this is all full circle now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but it'll once I have the structure going, and you know, when I have my own schedule going, then I'll be more sane, I guess. But right now it's all over the map, and Joel keeps booking appointments for me, and
I'm trying to push his business forward for him.
Yeah. And I'm doing something else.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Speaking of, do you know Muse is, I hope I say that right, Muse Canada?
Yep.
Right? It used to be Edmonton Muse.
Yep.
But now it's Muse Canada. Are you familiar with that, Justine?
No, I don't think so.
We're kind of in the process of starting to be affiliated with them right now. So essentially they had a magazine, but they don't now. It's like an online presence, but what it is connecting people in the arts, whether it's musicians or videographers or photographers or anything artistic, like literally anything artistic, can all basically meet at this hub and then network through there, and they promote like the arts.
It used to be called the Edmonton Muse, I believe, and it used to be I think it's digital magazine at that point. I don't know if they had a physical version as well. Anyway, so because of COVID, that folded, and now they're starting it back up, but nationally.
Yeah. So we got in touch with them, and yeah, we're hoping that there's going to be a solid affiliate there.
Yeah, we hope to be part of the dots that are being connected.
Yeah, in that family.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So
and like, you guys have done some cool stuff this summer too, right? Like, you had a show.
Yeah, we did. Moose Fest was a success for sure.
Cool.
We're legit in the. That was another thing I'm pushing on Mark here. We're planning next year's already, so we've got a date booked already. August 6th is going to be the second annual Moose Fest. We're doing things a little bit different though for the next one. Like this one, we did it in Bellevue Hall, just because to get our toes wet kind of thing. But now we're legit trying to plan it at like an outdoor festival with more bands, longer sets, that kind of thing. So it's coming along. Hey,
not longer sets.
Well, no,
sorry.
I guess they'll still be an hour long, but more bands, just more of everything, basically.
More.
More.
Yeah,
more bigger.
Exactly, right? Like, we got our toes wet, and when I just want to freaking jump in, right? So
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun for sure. So that was a success, and through that, Oh yeah, we got this. We helped a band out of Winnipeg get their EP pressed on vinyl.
Oh, that's
So
great.
that was a lot of fun. And because of that, we got to go to Winnipeg and we did a podcast with them in person. And then they did a live music video for us that we've got on the YouTube channel. So the whole idea there isn't going quite as planned, but I mean, it's still fun. Is we released the video on the YouTube channel in hopes to get more subscribers and viewers and stuff like that.
And you can win a copy of this.
Yeah, when we get to the goal that we're trying to, you can win an autographed copy of the EP. But it's kind of like just we're hovering. Not that it's not going bad. It just gonna take it seems like it's gonna take a lot longer than what I expected it to get to where we're trying to go.
Huh.
Yeah. And Mark's like trying to give me that look like I told you so, but
I don't want
to shoot for the stars and you land on the moon is what I keep saying.
No, shoot for the stars and land on failure because you aim for the stars and you don't get.
See what I gotta put up with.
Land on failure.
Yeah. I didn't want to go to the moon.
Do you ever see the Croods? That cartoon, the Croods?
Yeah.
So he's like, and then you die. That's Mark.
Someone's got to be that person.
I suppose, right?
Yeah. I actually had a conversation with a mutual friend, let's call it that, and he thought we have a very good relationship going on where you are the guy that comes up with the stupid ideas, and I'm like, oh, well, slow down a little bit, and we meet in the middle, and something like Moosefest happened.
I'm a little offended that he thinks my ideas are stupid.
No, yeah, I made it stupid. Yeah. I made it sound stupid, but he said like you're the dreamer,
and then you're the realist.
Yeah.
So I'm the glass is half full, and you're the half empty kind of guy.
No, my glass is always full.
Oh, always no, but all right. I was gonna say it can't be full if it's only half. So it's either half full or half empty.
No, I always fill it up.
Right, and then you die.
It's just like the business. Like I think Mark, I don't know, you're practical, but you want to focus on the business and what makes sense and logical and like have things planned out, organized.
Well,
want to be organized.
Try to be organized.
Yeah.
And then I'm not static that just comes in and messes up all your nice papers and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, sure. Let's go with that. So yeah, the record pressing, we did that since the last time we talked to you. We did Moosefest, and right now, like I said, we're kind of planning next year's already. I'm going to call it right now. We are going to be holding auditions.
In addition to what?
Yeah, in addition to next year. Well, yeah, we're planning.
Okay, so hang on, stop. I'm going to stop you right there. We're not going to call them auditions.
That's correct. The plan is right now that we're going to do.
Oh, but we can't actually say what we're going to do.
Well, I can say what the plan is. Doesn't mean that it's going to happen.
But we can't.
But I'm pretty freaking sure it's going to happen.
We can't say what we named it because that'll give it away.
Oh, I was just going to, you know what? I'm going to tell Justine, but I'll bleep it out.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that works.
So yes.
VIP.
Yeah.
So what the plan is we're like in Saskatoon where they hold music venues and stuff. We're going to call it. So not a battle of the bands, but kind of a battle of the bands.
That's exactly what it is.
That's what it is, but we're going to call it because nobody likes the battle of the bands phrase, right?
Or auditions.
So we'll call it. And we're planning to do this in January where bands who want to the prize is going to be a gig at Moosefest, next year's Moosefest, as well as accredited song recording with Skull Creek Studios and a video recording with Prehistoric Productions of that song. Cool. So the winner will get all those three. So I'm not sure how much of that I'm going to have to bleep out until I listen to that again. But so we are taking submissions for people that are interested. And that will be in January. So that'll be exciting for
Very
sure.
Cool.
Yeah. And we haven't agreed on a headliner yet. So that's fun and exciting right now too. We've got a list of people that we've been talking about for headliners, depending on what's in the budget, and then it's to come up with the budget. We kind of have one. We have a budget already in mind that I sure hope you do, because we already talked about that and I've moved on from it and rolled with it. So yeah.
Just say it.
But yeah, so I mean, that's right. It's a long ways away. Things can change or will change.
Smile and nod.
But it's been fun. I love it. I freaking love it.
Cool. That's a great opportunity.
Yeah.
For sure.
So we have on our priority list
a list for
and here this whole time I was like, wait, that's a different band. They're both cool, both rock band, not the one that I was thinking of.
Right. And I'm gonna be dead honest with you, I have no clue who either one of those are. So
where were we?
Yeah, how the fuck did we get
I don't
on
know.
that?
We went down a tunnel there.
Yeah, definitely.
That's okay. It happens.
Your hat is green.
It is green.
Oh, hey, from the underside it looks black.
Yeah, I guess because the lighting in here too.
What's with you and hats?
Shadow. I love hats. I've got I started putting them on my wall.
That's a great idea. Can we see your hat collection?
Sure.
She's like, are you sure?
Freaking rights. I'd love to.
All right. Well, let's see if I can flip this around.
A little tour.
There's some on. Oh, I usually put my green one here, so it's missing one. But I got a beige one and a brown one, and then another beige one. And then we have my black ones up here and a navy one. And then I have other ones that just
aren't hanging.
Yeah.
How many would you say that you have in total?
Oh, well, that would be 7 on the wall. I probably have a couple other ones. Different styles though. Like these are just like fedora type hats.
Right.
Or boho.
How did you get into like that style of hat? Where does that come from, like generate from?
Why do you keep wearing those hats?
It's like what, a ball cap?
Yeah.
Why do I keep wearing it?
Yeah.
Because it has your business name on it.
Yeah, but why don't you wear fedoras?
I do. I've got like 5 or 6 of them.
Okay. Well, that's exactly the same.
Here's the thing. I was always into hats, like floppy, like those floppy summer hats that people wear on the beach. Like I've always had those, or
the chin strap kind of things, like those ones.
No, not with a chin strap.
Well,
remember those birthday hats with the chin strap? Those were the worst.
Yeah.
No, I mean like there's like those. I was visualizing kind of like those fisherman hats, but they have like a surfer hat and they got the string underneath with the bead and tighten it up.
No, like the wicker. Well, it's not wicker, but the straw hat type of thing.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
Mark knows what I'm talking about. But I also have a floppy hat that's felt too. So it's like this kind of material, but it just kind of like is, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a floppier style brim, if you will. So anyways, I've always loved hats. And I won a hat, like a really cool vintage handmade pillbox hat. So someone like hand stitched it and it looks like it's from, I don't know, sometime between the 1920s or 1950s, and it sits like on the side of your head. It's really cool. Anyways, I've always liked hats. But I think I got into this style of hat when I moved out west because they're popular out here. It's kind of like a Western style, I think. They're just very in right now. So
and that's because you wear them.
Do you name your hats?
No, but I should.
Do you watch Schitt's Creek?
Yeah.
How Moira has wigs and she gives them names.
She names her wigs.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should name them really.
What would you name the green one? Kermit? No.
No, I don't know. Kermit. I'm
What's,
thinking something. I don't know.
What shade of green is that though?
It's
Oh
like
my God.
a dark green, like a forest green. I'm thinking F for some reason.
F?
Yeah, like an F name.
Fiona.
Fiona or like Fran or something weird. I don't know.
Fiona would be like a violet purple kind of color, don't you think?
Yeah, I guess so.
Maybe it would fit better. Too funny.
Yeah.
Are you still in the same apartment?
From the last time we talked? Yeah.
And how's that going?
It's good.
Yeah.
It's small, but I mean, it's a really good location, downtown Calgary, so I can pretty much walk to get necessities and stuff like that, like very central to everything, very close to music venues and stuff too. So
Sweet.
yeah, it's good because last year, not like we need to get into this, but you asked, at the very, very, very beginning of COVID last year, like March, I was living with a roommate and it was really tough. And I'm glad that I had left to find my own place because it would have been a really hard year living with someone that I didn't get along with. So yeah,
Great.
I'm glad that I got myself planted in a good place.
Sweet. And you were, I think no, it wasn't the last time we talked, but you had rented a vehicle too. You and I, we were in a discussion about renting vehicles, right?
Mhm.
And it was like if it made sense financially for what you were using it for. Are you still doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. And
Nice.
mostly because I don't drive that much because everything I need is within 5 minutes to walk. So at this point, like during the pandemic, it didn't make sense for me to buy a new car because I mean, the world stopped turning and, I live alone and provide for myself and started, investing in recordings and all that kind of stuff. So it didn't make sense for me to just put a payment down on a car.
Yeah.
So I found out about these community cars and they actually have them on my street. So I can rent them like by the hour if I want to go run errands or go to a venue that's far away or that kind of thing,
Oh,
Sweet.
which
Eh?
is really
Interesting.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's worked out really well for me.
Oh, that's something I've never heard of before.
That must be an Alberta thing.
Yeah, renting a car by the hour.
They do it in Toronto as well, I think. They also started in Edmonton, and I think they might even have it somewhere in Europe. It was weird. It said something like Toronto, Edmonton, Calgary, like Paris, or like somewhere random. And it's really neat because you can do it by the hour or you can rent it for the day or what have you. But it's so great, like if you live in a big city
Yeah,
where you don't necessarily rely on a car every day.
Yeah.
Yep.
That makes total sense.
And it saves me on parking too, because if I
Yeah.
buy a new car, like aside from putting the payment down on the car or buying it outright, or even if I had a lease, like still have to cover like gas and insurance and parking, like paying for a parking stall.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then paying for downtown parking and whatever. So yeah.
Yeah, you can avoid all that stuff for sure.
Yeah.
Cool, eh? Awesome.
Mind blown.
So the song, let's go back to the songs that you're recording right now. What is the turnaround on that? Like from where you're at with them right now, when can we expect to get to hear them? Maybe.
Hopefully soon. I'm trying to figure out which one I want to release first because it was tough to decide which one I wanted to record first, like I said. But now that I get to record them both, part of me wants to have them both recorded and in the bag and then choose which one to release first. But I just received basically the last mix of the first song. So it's pretty much getting mastered and is done. So the more I listen to it, the more I'm getting excited to release it. The only thing is, since it's such a heavy song, I'm not sure about the timing of releasing it because I know that the world is already kind of heavy right now. So I don't know if people would be open to hearing like a very vulnerable, emotional song. But at the same time, from my experience through the pandemic, people have a lot more time now to invest in artists and listen to music and consume music when they're in lockdown. So,
and maybe they can relate to a heavier song now that they're, not in a super
absolutely.
positive mindset or whatever.
Right. And my whole intention, I mean, with these two songs, like the reason I really wanted to record that first one was because it was kind of telling the story of why I've been absent for like 3 years, because there's people that have been following me for quite a few years, and they notice the gap, and I've talked about it on my socials as well. So people have kind of watched the journey of like what happened in my life personally and professionally, and living in Toronto, and my life kind of was going really well for a while, and then things, should hit the fan. And it took me a long time to get myself back and do a lot of healing and get back to writing music and that whole thing. So this song for me, on so many levels, on every level, is about telling that story, because I just didn't feel like it would be genuine to come back with a really happy-go-lucky, hopeful song and just pretend that nothing happened.
Right.
For me, it made sense to tell the story of like, and it is very much empowering, don't get me wrong, but it is very much the story of like, this is what's happened and this is me finding my way. And it just made sense for me to want to tell that story. So in terms of releasing, I think that would make sense too, to, bridge the gap, because the second song that I'm going to be recording is way more hopeful. And it's very much like getting a new lease on life and new chances at, my career and love and like all that kind of stuff. But it's like, to get to that song, I had to go through the first song.
Right. Well, I think you just kind of answered your own question.
Yeah, I was just right.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense. It's just like, I don't know if people are ready for it. But again, this is what we've been talking about since we hopped on this call today, is just about that human connection. And I think sometimes we're just afraid to have those really open discussions, but when we do, we feel so much better for it. Like, it's not always easy to show up and be vulnerable and have hard conversations, or just be open and honest about stuff you've been through. But when you do, like, that's what the connection is all about. So
for sure, like how impactful it is, and then you remember it too.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'll as that conversation I had with Saul, like it was maybe a 5-minute conversation, and I'll never forget it. You know what I mean?
I don't know what you talked about. So,
well, yeah, I'll tell you off air, but let's just say that it was stuff that we wouldn't have been able to say on air.
Oh.
And I think that's why it was so impactful, because it was truth is all it was. And it was genuine. And I think that's why, like, I'll never forget it. Right. It was almost like our heads were in the same spot, and we were on the same page with everything that was going on in like the world in general. That was kind of the feeling of that conversation. Anyway.
I'm curious to hear it.
Yeah, you'll hear it in a few weeks when he's on the show, I'm sure. But yeah, no, I totally get it, and I'm freaking excited to hear them. When you release your songs, how do you, Justine Giles, when you have a song, how do you release it?
Well, you know what? It's been probably 3 years since I've released a song, and things have changed since then. So I kind of have to brush up on what's changed, even in terms of Spotify and playlists, that kind of thing, because that's majorly shifted in the last 3 years. Pre-saves, all that kind of stuff. And I mean, I'm just trying to brush up on all of my all of my knowledge of that, because it has really changed. So basically, that's why I'm trying to make my plans now for how to release it properly and do the best job that I can. So that means, I have to have an updated bio and website. Mark, we've talked about that kind of stuff. It's super important. New photos. I have to think about album artwork, because even though it's for a single, you still have to, create and conceptualize what you want for artwork. So my brain is like nonstop thinking about that kind of stuff right now. I love sending stuff to CBC Radio. They've been super supportive from day one, and the royalties are great compared to Spotify. But they're also invested in the story.
Anything is great compared to Spotify, from what I've heard.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, I love CBC because they give artists an opportunity sometimes, especially on Radio 1, to have sit down interviews, like very similar to this, maybe not as long, obviously, but
Yeah.
to chat about the meaning behind the song as a songwriter, and then they'll spin it. So it's almost like they're attending a show and they're hearing the story behind the song, and then they hear it, right? So then people get really invested as well. So love CBC for that. And yeah, so I mean, those are the kinds of things that have to be put in place before it's released. So it's quite a bit, but I'm hoping, like, part of me really just wants to release it this fall, to be honest with you, because it's pretty much done.
Right. Are you going to do a music video?
I would like to. The more I listen to it, because I literally just got it this week, and it's pretty much done. So I've been listening to it quite a bit, and yeah, I think there's a lot of potential for visuals. Essentially, the song is called Save Myself Instead. So I kind of want to play on that. Even in terms of album artwork, I'm thinking of like almost having two of me, like me reaching out to me kind of deal. Something like that would be really neat, because, you know, it's very much about the situation I went through that was very like detrimental for me. And I think a lot of people have been in situations or relationships where they try to save somebody else and then you lose yourself, and it's crazy and unhealthy. And it's kind of obviously a process to get back to yourself. So yeah,
Right.
that whole concept of choosing yourself and saving yourself first, putting yourself first. It's like that lame thing everyone talks about with like the oxygen masks, you know, like when you're flying, got to put it on yourself first.
Yep.
And it's true, you know, like sometimes we want to put other people first and give from an empty cup, but obviously that doesn't really work out too well. So,
Yeah. Well, Mark's cup is always full, apparently.
Of course. Because I think of me first.
yeah, but I think we could do some cool stuff with it visually for sure.
Cool, man. Well, I'm so happy that we know each other, even if it is just virtually. And I thank you again for jumping on this call in such short notice. Like it means a lot for sure.
Absolutely. It's always nice to catch up with you guys, and I'm glad everyone's keeping well during this crazy time. And you know, I'm grateful to you guys for all your support, and I'm grateful to anyone that's able to support artists during this time. And I think music is something that's keeping us all going, to be honest with you. It sure is for me.
Definitely.
Yeah, same here.
Yep. Okay, so we will try our best to direct people to all your socials and all your information. I have it all still from the last time. Maybe if you want to just do a quick plug on where people can find you, and I'll have everything in the description.
Sure. Yeah, that would be great. Well, hopefully by the time, no, that's not true. This is coming out in a few days from now. I was going to say, hopefully by the time this comes out, I'll have a brand new website. It's not happening. But I mean, you can find me on Instagram. People seem to enjoy following me on there. Like if I meet people at shows, that's where people like to connect these days. Just Justine Giles pretty much everywhere. Instagram is Ms. Justine Giles, Giles, 1L. And pretty much everywhere. Some older singles on Spotify, that kind of stuff.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, thank you very much. I enjoyed this. The guest that we were supposed to have has a completely different vibe from you. And I didn't mind the change. Let's call it that.
Yeah, it was definitely pleasant.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad. Well, thanks for having me, guys.
Anytime. Just reach out if you got something new to address. Okay.
For sure. I'll definitely send along my new stuff when it's out.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, guys. Tune in again next week. Thanks for tuning in this time.
All right. Here is a sneak peek of Save Myself Instead.
All our days were destined.